Buenos días, estudiantes. Me llamo Señora L y hoy vamos a hablar sobre los continentes del mundo. Hi, my name is Señora L, and today we are going to talk about the 7 continents, the 7 major continents of our planet. Now, in a previous video, we discussed the basic ideas of cartography: longitude, latitude, the prime meridian, and our equator. Today, please forgive me because I am freehanding, which means I'm kind of drawing on my own, a map of our planet. And first, I am beginning with our equator, our prime meridian, and I have started off with our first continente, Antártida. Repite, Antártida. Antártida is, of course, Antarctica. Now, as you notice, this is a 2-dimensional map. And in a 2-dimensional map, things are going to look a little differently from what they are in real life or on a globe, because, of course, our world is a sphere. Now, as I freehand our map, basically what I am doing is orienting the position of the continentes by the prime meridian and the equator, or el Ecuador. After the Antártida, now I am drawing Sudamerica, or South America. And as you can see, South America is a large continent that includes where the equator passes through it. And please forgive me, I am not drawing to scale. I'm trying, but I definitely miss a few parts. So bear with me. Now, as of course mentioned in the previous video, the equator was actually determined by a French cartographer who lived in el país Ecuador, in the country Ecuador, for 10 years in the 1700s, where he studied and used mathematics and science to determine the exact position of the equator. So there you go. The next continent I'm working on is Norteameérica. And of course, that also includes Central America. And please forgive me, I did not draw the Gulf of Mexico even remotely accurately, or the eastern United States. But, hey, we try. And in fact, here is a challenge for you. Clearly, my drawing of our planet is not perfect, but the more we practice, the better we get. And the more we learn about our world, the more accurate we can be about all of its incredible features. So, mis estudiantes, I challenge you to practice drawing your own maps of our planet. Because look, right now I'm drawing Greenland, and that is just not a good Greenland. I bet you can do even better. So to review, these are the continentes in our Western Hemisphere, or in el oeste, or the West. We have Norteamérica, Sudamerica, y Antártida. But now, let's look at our Eastern Hemisphere, where there are multiple continentes. In our future videos, in our series on geografía or geography, we'll get into the oceans and large bodies of water. But right now, we're focusing in this one on los continentes, the continents. Now, for the prime meridian, I find it a little bit fascinating because of how it was decided. The equator was determined by science. The prime meridian was determined by a public opinion of multiple nations across our planet agreeing that the prime meridian, or point or line 0 of our longitude, would go through the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. So as we draw our continentes, I determine from the prime meridian how our next continent should be drawn. And that is Africa. And of course, with its neighboring island, Madagascar. And yet again, not drawn to scale. And speaking of scale, in a future video, we will show how scale, especially on a world map, can be kind of skewed. But we'll get to that later. So from Africa, our largest continente, one of our largest continentes, now from Africa, we are now drawing the next continente, Asia, or Asia. And down below, I am trying to draw Australia. And not doing a great job of it, but here we go. Now, for the continent of Australia, in Espanol, we refer to it as OceanÍa, or Oceania. O repite, Oceania. Oceania is both Australia, but also the neighboring islands around it, including New Zealand, which, because I am not drawing up quite to scale, I did not include New Zealand. And on behalf of my love for New Zealand, because I have traveled through there and I love it dearly, I apologize, New Zealand, for not including you in this map. And now I'm drawing further details of Southeast Asia and Asia. But see, this just goes to show the importance of practice. The more we practice, the better we can get at it. Because right now, as I'm drawing through Siberia, I'm missing all sorts of spots and important details. But now, we go from Africa through Oceania, through Asia or Asia, and now I'm getting into Europa or Europe and trying to draw the details from there. Each continent, as it's positioned in our planet, whether it is close to the equator or far from it, impacts its climate, its seasons, and, of course, its cultures. And I am trying to draw the details of Europe and the Iberian Peninsula, which of course has España and Portugal. And I kind of get Europe a little wonky, but like I said, practice makes perfect. Now, points of note too, as a review from our last video. Two-dimensional maps are very important when it comes to navigation. In fact, Google Maps still uses a two-dimensional map when we determined how to get from one point to another. Two-dimensional maps can be very, very effective when we look at relatively short or small areas on our planet. But as we get larger, look at kind of the grander scale of our world, that's where two-dimensional maps can have some inaccuracies. Now on this map, you'll see the tick marks below and on the sides that determine longitude and latitude. And of course, the prime meridian determines on the left of the prime meridian, that is the oeste, or the western hemisphere. To the right of the prime meridian is the este, or east of the prime meridian, or eastern hemisphere. The equator determines the northern hemisphere, el norte, and the southern hemisphere, el sur. So like I said before, as I finish up my final details of my map, I challenge you, estudiantes, as we talk more about in future videos, los siete continentes, the 7 continents of our world. I challenge you to draw your own maps. And don't worry if they're super accurate. The fact that we can represent our world, all of our world, and all of the peoples included in our world is so important. Until next time, mis estudiantes. Hasta luego.